Welcome everyone. As you can see, we've got a couple of planers here, a decimal meter. I've got some wood over there ready to go. We're doing the ultimate planer shootout. I'll edit in some scary monster truck voice there later. What we have here is a Ridgid Tp1300. Bought this bad boy a couple of weeks ago. It had been in a shed in a box for 20 years, so it's basically brand new planer. Then I saw that you could replace the 2-blade cutter head with a helical cutter head. I believe Bird is one of the brand names. And I thought, boy, that would be nifty. And then had the opportunity to buy this guy. This is the Shop Fox W1877. It has a helical style cutter head, not quite helical. 26 little 14mm chiclets that you can do a little half turn. Boop, boop, boop. Gives you 4 cutting edges. So if you hit something, you're not replacing 2 full blades. You're adjusting a little 14mm chiclet. Here's our facts sheet. We got the Ridgid and the Shop Fox, the different woods we're going to run. We'll do it running with and without the shroud on it. I don't know how dusty this is going to get, so I got my dusty mask handy and the remote for our Wen air cleaner. So we've got several pieces of wood. We've got some pine, 1 3/4 by 36 inches. We've got some wider pine. I'm calling this the Menard's Fancy Pine. I think this comes from New Zealand or something like that. That is 7 1/4 wide, 18.5 inches long. Those are cutoffs from a project I had done. And then we're going to do some junk 2x4s. They look nasty. I did do a very good visual inspection to make sure there's no iron. And then the only thing I had for hardwood currently hanging out here was a bit of soft maple. We've got, it's 3.5 inches wide, 48 inches long. Here's our guy, the Shop Fox, the W1877. Hopefully you can see the reflection here. There is our helical style cutter head. We'll give a view on the back shortly, and you can see one of the drive wheels. Obviously there's drive wheel front and back. I've got the shroud off the back right now. I don't think you're supposed to run it that way, but we're going to do momentarily to get a reading on our decibel meter. There you can get a little bit better view. I'm going to throw out a little video on this thing, a little more in depth. We've got our buddy, the old Ridgid. So on the Shop Fox, it's a 1-piece shroud that also includes the dust collector chute. It's got a pivot chute. I took part of the pivot off to let the dust fly. We're not going to be running any dust collection today, but you can see that that single blade in there. And here is the shroud that we'll see if it reduces noise, but it does direct the chips out the back. We've got a front view. There we are, buddy. And you can kind of see up in there the reflection. So as I run the wood through, we will be recording the noise here on this decimal meter. This is courtesy of Audio Design Innovations, a division of All Systems Connected. So on both machines, the Ridgid and the Shop Fox, I will be using the little gauge that's supplied. You see the arrow there. There's a little knob that sticks down, spring-loaded, and as you move the head down, the knob presses on your wood and gives you a rough indication of what you're going to be pulling off. That's round about a 1/16 of an inch. All the different test samples that we run through, I'm going to run them at a 1/16 of an inch. The first test is going to be the sound level with the machine running with the shroud off. First up is the Ridgid. We're not going to be super scientific with that, so we're just going to call that 87. That was the Shop Fox. We're just going to call them both 87. Going to go put the shrouds on, see what that does. Ridgid with the shroud on. Call that an 86. Shop Fox with the shroud on. I'm going to say that's still 87. We're starting with the Shop Fox. I'm calling that 87. I'm going to call that also an 87. Next we'll set up for the Menards Fancy Pine. 7¼ wide, 18½ inches long. Wasn't a huge increase in noise on that. Let's run the Ridgid. I'm going to call that a 93. Okay, soft maple. Soft maple's 3½ wide, 48 inches long. We're going to start with the Shop Fox. Not a lot of noise. Going to call that, I guess, 87-ish. Let's see what we do with the Ridgid. I'm going to call that 91 on the Ridgid. Garbage 2x4. I've got both planers set to pull off what the maximum cut the machines are supposed to do at 1/8 of an inch. Shop Fox. Ridgid. Not a huge jump. So this is the pile of shavings from the Ridgid. As you can see, they're fairly large. Curly Q simply because, you know, it's just a 2-blade jobby. But I think, I believe that the Ridgid is a little more friendly for the fella that doesn't have a dust collector. That shroud just shoots everything kind of right out the back. This is all we get out of the Shop Fox. Very fine because of those little 14mm teeth. Those little chiclets really, you know, they shred off little bits, and it's spinning fast enough where they all work in conjunction. Give you a nice finish. So basically, as far as it goes with noise level, the helical style cutter head with its 26 little chiclets chomping away at the wood is quieter than the two-blade cutter head of the old Ridgid. As far as quality of surface, I honestly find them to be very similar. Granted, each machine has only been set up and tested. There's no real heavy amount of wood that has gone through those machines. I'm assuming the two-blade, the quality of cut will deteriorate quicker than the carbide cutters. The two-blade, those are high-speed steel, and on the helical style head, again, we've got the carbides. So what did we learn today? We learned that both the Ridgid and the Shop Fox have a baseline decibel reading of about 87. They both have a quality finish. They are both loud. Through the video, I brought down the volume to about 20% when these machines are running, because watching it without doing that made for a very loud video. These portable planers are loud machines. The Shop Fox, regardless of what we fed through it, maintained about 87 decibels. The Ridgid with the two-blade cutter head, the highest volume, 93. Basically a brand new machine, even though it's 20 years old. Brand new knives, excellent cut finish. How long will they hold up? I think it depends on what you feed through it and what those knives bump into. The Shop Fox with its carbide inserts, not exactly helical, but still does a very nice job. Ridgid, only really available secondhand. You see them from time to time. I see them ranging from $150 to $450 used. $280 is what I paid for this thing in the box. The Shop Fox, most places I see, if you go to Acme Tool or Grizzly.com, they are currently at about $734.99. Really not a terrible price. Both good machines. The Shop Fox, which you can still buy, I would recommend it. It's very nice. Two planers. What on earth am I doing with two planers? I don't know. And they're both awesome.